你好吗? We're back. Lesson 2 happening so fast. We already know how to speak Chinese, but now we want to know how we can ask questions. So one way to control the conversation in the early days when you start to learn Chinese, ask something and let the other person answer. Even if you don't understand their reply, continue asking questions. This will keep the conversation going. So this is what we're going to do today. We're going to ask questions. Okay, we're going to show you how you can ask questions, and we're going to do it in a fun, entertaining way. So if you remember, last time we said ni hao means you good, and it's the English version of hello. And in most cases we add ma, that's a question particle in Chinese. So if you want to ask a yes or no question, ma, that's the question particle you use, and you will hear it many times. And if you hear ma, even if you didn't understand what they were saying, you know they were asking you a question, so you can either say yes or no. Okay. And the other question, which is almost rather question particle, which is almost similar to ma, is ba. Okay. So if you remember, we said good is how, and also the word for okay is how. So if somebody says how ba, that means, is that okay? Is it good? Are you okay with that? How ba? So if you're okay with it, you can say okay, I am okay. How? If you're not okay, then you can say not okay, which is not okay. Bu, how. We'll get to bu very soon, but for now, just know that question particles ma and the polite one ba, it's more of a suggestion in a way. So if you want to say, let's go to the shops, okay? The Chinese will not say just okay, but they will say okay, ba, how, ba. That ba is a particle question mark, which is also a question particle, but it's also a polite ending of the sentence there. So it doesn't sound as if you're being rude or you're forcing the person to go along with you, or whatever you could be suggesting or asking the person to do. You make polite in the inquiry or the suggestion by adding the ba particle at the end, how ba. Alright, so now let's ask another question, which is 怎么 how or what, 怎么. Okay, if you want to ask how do you read this, 怎么 read, 怎么 read. So the character or the word for read is do. So 怎么读, 怎么读. You point to the character that you can't read and you say 怎么读. That means you're asking how do I read this. Okay, so 怎么 will come in a long way. If you're asking somebody how they are doing, you also see 怎么 being used. We'll get to that soon, but for now let's just know that how or what can be used as 怎么. What is also another way of saying it, but there are other times where it is implied that 怎么 is also meaning or referring to what. But for now, let's stick with how to make things a little bit easier for us. How to read something, 怎么读, just like that. If you want to go somewhere, like you've asked, if you want to go to the shops, but you don't know how to go there, you're gonna ask 怎么 go, and the word for go is 走. So 怎么走, which is what's the way? How do I go there? 怎么走? Okay, so somebody says, no, let's go. And then you go 怎么走? How do we go? Which way? Okay. If you remember last time we talked about yo, which means to have, and we said 没 is the negative particle. So 没 means not. So this works when you're asking questions and answering questions. Are you married? Not yet married. 没有 or 没. Okay, so 没 means you're negating whatever the particle, the verb which was prior to that one. If you say you have, if you use 没 before have, that means you don't have. If you say you're married, if you use 没 before married, that means you're not married. If you say there's a question, if you use not 没 before the question, that means it's not a question. Speaking of questions, questions are also problems. And the word for problems is 问题. 问题. So if there is no problem, you can say 没问题. 没问题. No problem. So let's go back to the person who want to ask us to go. Let's go to the shops. 好吧? Okay? Ask somebody to go to the shops and use a polite ending. Again, you say, let's go to the shops. 好吧? That's how you structure your question. And the person wants to go. So he says, 好. And then they ask you, how do we go there? How do you ask, how do we go? 怎么走? Nice. Let's ask another question. We can go to watch a movie. Is that okay? Let's go watch a movie. Is that okay? Again, let's go watch a movie. 好吧? Good. You catch so fast. Now the person responds, no problem. How do you respond no problem? 没问题. Nice. You're intelligent. Now let's move on to the word what. 什么? What? 什么? What sounds rude sometimes, but yeah, you gotta get used to it. So you hear some people say, and then you say 什么什么什么. That means, then they say what, or blah 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 in English. 什么什么什么. 什么 means what. If you remember yesterday, we spoke about the word for name, which is 名字. And we said 你的名字 is. We use the word 是. And then what? What is your name? In Chinese we say your name is what? 你的名字. 你的. If you don't know what 你的 means, you can go back to lesson 1. 名字是什么? Nice. So we now know how to ask a question about what's your name. Alright? And then if you want to ask about how big or how old, you could use the word 多大. 多大. So if I'm to ask you, or rather let you ask me, what's my age? 你多大? Just like that. 你多大? And I can tell you my age. I'm 11 years old. Still a teenager. Nice. Have a long life ahead of me. 何时? That's the word for when. 何时 for when. The she here is to do with time, which is 时候. Now, if you move to the right and upward step, you'll find another word for when, which is more popular, and it combines two words: the word for what, 什么, and the word for time, 时候. You see, 什么时候, what time, and that's the Chinese way of asking when. So if you want to ask somebody, when are you coming? You can go, you are coming 什么时候? You see, sometimes the Chinese change the structure from backward to forward when translated from English. So the when part will come at the end, just like what we did when we were asking for your name. We said your name is what? Instead of saying what is your name, we went 你的名字是什么? And here we're going when, the what time, are you coming? Yeah, you coming? 什么时候? Okay, that's the correct put there. I was tricking myself. Interesting. Alright, so let's go back to where we were, just under her shoe, which is another white square there. So bottom, and one step to the left, and then one down to the blue square. Boo! So, 不, as you can see, it means no. So, 不, do you want this? 不, that means you don't. Okay. So, 不 means no or don't. It used differently with may, which means not or negate some stuff. For example, when we say 没问题, we don't say 不问题. No, we don't do that. We use may. So sometimes when you say about something, let's say somebody just said, I'm very sorry about that. You can say, no problem, 没问题. Or 没关系, 没关系. Again, we use may and not 不. So 不 is used when you say no, something you don't like, something you don't know. You can use 不 know, which means you don't know. 不 like, which means you don't know. But when you're talking about other stuff, you use may. So we'll show you the structures where you use may. For example, we've already touched on 没有. Okay? And if you move on to the left there, on the blue screen, to the red one, you see 没有, which means you haven't. And we've just now touched on 没关系. We earlier touched on 没问题. So 没关系 and 没问题 can be used interchangeably. If somebody says, I'm sorry, 没关系, it's okay. I'm sorry I'm late, 没问题. So that's no problem. Alright, so let's move on. 干嘛? What for? 干嘛? What for? 干 is like to do something, then ma is the question particle. So if you're doing something, then what are you doing it for? 干嘛? What's that for? Kind of rude, but yeah, it's Chinese for you. Alright, so we'll skip the red one, which is 没有. We already touched on that. But here's what we're going to say before we move on. We don't say 不有, which means you don't have, but you say 没有, which means you don't have. That's the correct way of putting it. Okay, so where exactly can we use 不? Now, here are two ways. If somebody says thank you, you can say 不谢, 不谢. 谢 is to thank, and 不 is don't, so 不谢 is don't thank. And sometimes, which is more colloquial, you hear 不用谢, 不用谢. 用 is to use, so 不用 don't use. 不用谢 don't use thanks. 不用谢, 不用谢, 不用谢. You're welcome. That's the translation there. Another version where you could see 不 being used is when you're talking about good. So coming back to 没有, the word square, we move to the right, you find the word 好, which is, as you know, good. And if something is not good, you say 不好. That means it's not good, you're bad. Okay. You want to go to the shops? 好吧. You don't want to go, you say 不好. You see? Now, while I'm still here, let's also tell you about some things that you need to do, or rather remember, on asking questions. You can ask a question by giving the person the positive and the negative. Structuring questions with positive and negative is makes it easier for you, and also for the one who is to respond, or rather supposed to respond. Let me give you an example. If I say 有, you know that means to have. If I say 没有, that means you don't have. So, if I want to ask you, do you have money or you don't have money, instead of saying 你有 money or 没有 money, I can simply ask 你有没有 money. Did you see that? 有没有有没有. So if you have, you can say 有. If you don't have, you say 没有. Oh, how did you know how to respond to that? You're intelligent. Oh, I see, because I told you. So yeah, you can do that. if you want to ask somebody questions, you can give them the answer upfront, positive, negative. 有没有？你有没有杂志？ Do you have magazine? 你有没有圣经？ Do you have a Bible? So if they have, they'll say 我有. If they don't have, they say 我们没有. We don't have. Guess what? You can do the same with 好, which is on the left, or rather on the right side, and 不好, which is also on the favorite right side, for a positive, negative question. Let's go to the shops. 好不好? Wow, that sounds like music. 好不好? Oh, I just did it again. That sounded so nice. 好不好? Ah, we can do this all day. So you can answer 好 if it's okay. So 好 also means okay, or nice, or good. So if something is okay, you can just go 好. If you don't like it, 不好. If something is bad, it's 不好. So 不好, 好 should be a very good friends. If you like something, you just go 好. If you don't like it, 不好. Yeah, you just sit in the deck there. Say 不好. Okay. So 不好 means not good. 不, remember, is the way of saying no or don't. Okay. So if somebody touches you and you don't want to be touched, 不, 不, 不. Okay. No. Okay, wonderful. Now let's go back to the top. Now we're on the yellow square with purple text. Say, that's woo. Okay, so if you listen to me closely, you see that I'm pronouncing that as say, which sort of has a little W between the H and the E. Say, that's who. Okay, now I want you to ask me, who am I? Okay, if you remember, who am I? Again, I'll give you a clue. You start with you are who. Okay, so break one. You are who. That's the correct way of asking who are you in Chinese. You are who. The word for you, 你. The word for are or is 是. And the word for who is just stated, say, 你是谁? 你是谁? That means who are you? Alright, let's ask again. This time we're going to ask about her, that girl standing over there. How do we ask that? Again, I'm going to give you a clue. She is who? Alright, easy, right? 她是谁? Okay, now let's answer. I am, and I give you my name. I'm just gonna go with the name Frank. So I am Frank. How do you say that in Chinese? Based on what we learned yesterday, 我, that's I, am 是 Frank. 我是 Frank. If you want to go with the word 名字, which means name, you can also say 我的. That's my 名字 name 是 is Frank. 我的名字是 Frank. My name is Frank. Or if you just go I am Frank. 我是 Frank. Nice. Now, let's answer the question, who is she? She is teacher. Oh, she's our teacher, or she's a teacher. How do you say that in Chinese? Again, the question, who is she? 她是谁? And the answer, 她是. You see that? 她是. Now we're replacing the word who with the title or their name. 她是 Anna. 她是 Mary. 她是 teacher. 她 means he or she or it, depending on the character, as we learned yesterday. 是 is the verb for is, or not the verb, rather, but the particle for is, and can also mean were or are or is or am. she is used in several instances. We'll come back to she more and more, but for now let's continue. If someone asks you, what's your name? And then you tell them, 我是 Martha. 你呢? 你呢? That means you're asking them, and you? Wonderful. So 你呢 means and you. In Spanish they say y tú. So if you want to ask somebody, if you want to say thank you, no thank you doesn't work. Rather, if you want to ask if they have said, how are you? Then you say, I'm good, or 很好. 你呢? You see that? Say hello. 你好. Respond that. Say I'm very good, or 很好. And then I'll ask, and you? 你呢? Nice. So practice with your partner. Do this dialogue. Say hello. They say hello. You say, I'm good, how are you? And then you also ask, I'm fine, and you? 你呢? What we're doing here today is we're asking questions. You see? So you can actually hold the dialogue asking, who are you? 你好. 你好. Who are you? 你是谁? And the other person answer, they give you the name, and you can actually continue with the conversation. You see? When, whenty, when, whenty. So you see there, the when means to ask, whenty means questions. So if you want to ask somebody a question, you can use the polite form, 请问, 请问. 请 is the Chinese word for please, and when is to ask. So 请问 that means may I please ask? 请问怎么走? How do I go? 怎么读? How do I read? 什么时候? What time? Or when? 有没有? Have or don't have? 好不好? Is it okay or is not okay? Now the last word on that column there in the green one with white text, 挺好. Pretty good. You know I passed my exams? Wow! 挺好的. 挺好. She was sick, but she's better these days. She's very much recovered. Really? 挺好. Pretty good. Yeah. I know. I might not be that kind of person, but you know, I have lots of money. Really? 挺好. Pretty good. Okay. So if you want to ask how long somebody has done something, you could go with 多久, 多久, 多久. Okay. So 多, you've seen this before. When we're working with how old, we say 多大. So 大 is big, 多 is like many. So like many big, more like how big or how old. And this time again we're looking at the number like 多, like how many times you. So many time or how time or how long. 多久. So you've been in Zimbabwe? Really? 多久? Have you ever been in Asia? Really? 多久? You are learning Chinese? How long have you learned Chinese? 多久? Okay, so that's one way you can say that. The word for or is 还是, 还是. Okay. Are you at school? 还是 at work? You see, you can use or to ask several questions. Are you rich or poor? Do you have a car? Do you drive? Or you commute? 还是 commute? Wonderful. Now, there's another way for asking or, which is also very popular. It's 或者 Are you employed? 或者 you're in school. Do you drive? 或者 do you cycle? Wonderful. Now let's move into another way which you can also use as a way to ask questions or to answer questions, which is the word 可以. 可以 means able to, or can, or may. So if you want to take a seat, it's maybe the seat that's empty and there's somebody sitting next to that empty seat, it's vacant, so you go there and ask 可以吗? 可以吗? Which simply means can, and then the question particle ma at the end. Since you're pointing at the seat is inferred that you're asking whether you can sit on the seat or not. And if they're responding to you, they can say, how do you think they will respond? Okay, the first and foremost way they can do that is 可以, because we've used 可以吗, so they can go 可以, which means yes, you can. And of course there's so many other ways, which will be 好, 没问题, 没关系, whichever way you would like. So we'll put this up on our exercise, and then we'll create a dialogue where you walk towards somebody who's sitting on the seat, and then you ask them 可以吗, then you start the dialogue. Who are you? Where are you from? What's your name? And everything in between. So that will help you to practice asking questions. 好不好? Okay, wonderful. Now last time 想字 上 is written on top, 字 time, so last time the time now past 想字. Okay, that's very good. So if you say you're making a return visit call, and you can say 想字, right? Last time I asked you 我, the word for ask question again, if you remember, when, and the word for you is 你, 想字. Last time, 我问你, I asked you, and then you ask the question. Let's say, who is God? How do you structure the question, who is God? Again, I'll give you a clue. God is who? So we go 上帝. So that's the word for God. 是, that's the word for is. 谁, that's the question for who. 上帝是谁? Okay, so last time I asked you questions. Who is God? 上次我问你上帝是谁? Wonderful. So you see, you can all piece that together and ask, who is Christ? 基督是谁? And then you ask all other questions you like. Like teacher, who is the teacher? Who is your daughter? Who is your girlfriend? You see? Very interesting how you can piece these pieces together. There are few phrases, but they can construct several sentences if you like. Alright. Now let's go to another one, which is on the yellow on the black text. Which ones? 哪些? Which ones? 哪些? Okay. I want you to take those books. 哪些? Which ones? 哪些? Which ones? 哪, and this one means which one. The 些 is what makes them plural. 哪, which one? Give me that pen. 哪, which one? Nice. Now, while we're still here, we want to move up, diagonally up to the right, where we will ask where. The question, where? The reason why we jump in there is because there is also the character 哪, 哪里. Now 哪里 means where. The tai there, used as a suffix, actually is the word for at, or on, or in. It's more like a preposition. So at where? At 哪里? At where? That's the English word for where. Shops 在哪里? That means where are the shops? Your house 在哪里? Where is your house? Okay, so do you want to go to the shops? Shops 在哪里? And then you remember, if you want to say here, you can go with the word 这. If you want to go with the word over there, you can go with 那. So 怎么走? How do we go? 怎么走? And then we go with this road. Which one? 哪? Which one? 哪? You see, you can construct the conversation again based on that. So after the video, you can join in the forums and come into the class and talk, rather conversate with other people and see how you can cement the dialogue together. Let's move on now. We're on the green one with white text, which is under the red one, which is na. Which one? We're on the green one. Na. Which one? I said the green one. Na. Which one? Okay, you're not playing with it. Hui. Hui. Mentally able to. Okay, so here we have Hui. If you want to say I can speak a language, that means you are mentally able to speak a language. Which word would you use? Would you use K, which is the one on the right on the left, to be able to, or can, or may? Or would you use Hui, which is the one on the green there in the table? Or would you use the one on the right side, which is Nang, physically able to? Nang, physically able to. Of course, you would go with Hui. The word for you, or I, 我. The word for can, to speak as in mentally able to, 会. 我会 speak Chinese. 我会 speak English. 我会 speak Shona. 我会 speak what other language is funny? Greek. I can't speak Greek, but yeah, you get the point. 我会 speak. So we will end the word for speak later on, but if you are curious and if you already know, you know it's 我会说, 我会说, and then you name the language after that. So I can speak 我会说. KE, we said you're able, is it possible, can you do? KE. But if you're mentally able to do something, 会. Okay. So are you going to come tomorrow? 会不会? 会不会? Again, that's a positive negative. If you're coming, you can say 我会. Okay. Are you able to pick me up tomorrow? 我会. Okay, wonderful. And then, while still here, we have also talked on 能, which is physically able to. 我能来, 我能够, 我能明白, 我能. That means you're physically able to do something. 我能. Okay, wonderful. Now, we have talked about question particle, ma and ba. Now, there's another one, which is na. It's not really new. If you remember, we said if you want to ask and you, which we said in Spanish is y tú. You can also use ni. You know ni, that means you. And then na, that's a question particle, which translates ni na into and you. Really, it's just you, and there's no and there, but because there's a question particle na, then that turns that into a question. So sometimes you find na instead of ma. Just remember, it's also a question particle. Nothing really big, nothing serious there. Wonderful. 不错 not bad. 不错 not bad. We're doing great, aren't we? 挺好 pretty good. 不错 not bad. So you see what we're doing here? If somebody asks you 你好, you can also go 不错, which means not bad. You're doing good. That's actually a polite way of answering it. Some Chinese don't use 我很好 to respond to 你好. They actually prefer 不错. So you can also use 不错 if you like. Okay, finally, where we've titled that. 多 we've titled 多 before. 少 means few. So now we have 多 which you said means many, and 少 which means few. So what happens when you combine many and few together? That means you're asking whether it's many or if it's few. So you're asking how many. Ah, nice. 多少 how many or how much. You can also use 多少 to ask for a phone number. If you remember yesterday we said phone 电话 phone number 电话号码. So if you want to use 多少 to ask for a phone number, you can say your phone number is how much or how many. And in Chinese, 你的电话号码是多少？你的电话号码是多少？ How much is your phone number? Well, the phone number is 555-666-000. Nice. I've got your number. It works all the time. Nice. Okay, so 能 is can be able to title that one. 能 okay. So 多久 I think this one is titled earlier. How long or that's the measurement of time. I think we titled just right here on the top there. That unique colored box with red text. So this is a repetition. 多久 if you forgot, it means how long. How long have you been learning Chinese? You've been learning Chinese 多久了 something like that. So when you start today, 开始 Ah, nice. So if you invited somebody over to the meetings, maybe they're coming out to the Kingdom Hall, they want to know what time will the meetings start. Meetings, the word for when or what time, if you remember literally what time, the word for what, 什么, the word for time, 时候. If you remember this one here, at the very top, you would move 3 steps. 吗, 什么, and 为什么. Okay, 为什么, and then under 为什么 is 什么时候. That's when. 什么时候开始, the red one here where we are in the corner. 什么时候开始? What time do they start? 什么时候开始? What time do you start? Okay, wonderful. Now let's finish up on the last column. We have 怎么样. If you remember on the first column we had 怎么, which is the third one there. If you're going down, which you said means how. 怎么. Now we simply add in the part 样 at the top, rather at the front there, which then changes the question from how to how is it. So if I want to ask you, how are you? How is it? How is everything? I can easily go with 你怎么样? 你怎么样? Which is also as good as 你好, but more friendly. 你怎么样? How are you? How's everything? Alright, and then they'll answer 不错, 很好. Nice. 值 is how many or how much. So 值 and 多少 have the same meaning, but 值 is used for smaller numbers like time and family members In your family, how many are you? How many months are there? How many hours are there? You can use G. But when you're dealing with bigger numbers or infinity numbers, or just about any number, duo sao will do. Nice. Duo means many or how, as we have seen how many or how. So we've seen it here on duo two, we've seen it here on duo sao, we've also seen it on duo da. So that's duo for you. We've met it before. Just say hello again. And rizi, that's the day. So you can ask how many days? Duo sao rizi. Rizi, that's the day. We have also met tian in the past for day. This time we're meaning rizi. You can go, you sometimes find just ri on its own, it also means day. And last but not least, I think it's not really the last one, but it's second from last, it's ruhe, which means how, which, where, and why. This one is used mainly in books, so if you find ruhe, it means how. Depending on what the question, how this question is structured, it could mean how, it could also mean which, it could mean where, or why. So it's more like just a question particle, and you can infer what the question is referring to, depending on how the question is structured. Alright, so last but not least, the one that we have left at, right here at the top, the third one, wei shenma. So we've seen sema sibo, which you said is what time. We've seen sema, which you said is what. Now we're saying wei. Wei means for, and then sema means what. So the question is for what. So that means you say why, and you can substitute for what with why every time, and it works like charm. For example, you are going to the shops for what. So that's the same as you're going to the shops. Why? You see that? For what and why are the same thing. But I kind of really need English to say for what. But that's the literal translation there of wei shenma. Why? Wei shenma. Why? I love you. 挺好. Pretty good. 为什么? Why? Okay, so if you want to just pull somebody out, they tell you something, you just ask question. Then they go, wow, this, and remember what is, and then when they finish, you just ask, oh, 为什么? They start explaining again. 因为 is the word for because. 因为 为什么? Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you for tuning in to our class today. We learned a lot about asking questions. So the best thing for you to do is join up on the forums. So we said I will start the links, the social media platforms that you can come and get in dialogues with other people. If you don't find somebody to do a dialogue with on the platforms that we send the links to you, you can also reach to me directly, and we can give you something personalized for you, and see how far you can deal in construct questions, answer them, create fun dialogues to interact, some interactions between 2 or 3 people, see how many questions you can ask, how to respond to them. That way we improve your vocabulary sooner, and that will put you in a position to control the conversation. Because whenever you meet somebody, be sure you're on the start point, and be sure to anticipate some of the questions like, how long have you been studying Chinese? You know it's 2-0. If you hear 2-0, that means how long. And if you also want to ask them how long have they been in your country, you know you have to use 2-0. Okay, so you now know Thai, which is at, and you know where, which is 哪里, Thai 哪里, and here, 在这, 在那. Okay, so there's so many combinations you can use what you've learned today, and I hope you have fun practicing. Okay, But why are you not in Chinese? 为什么？干嘛？ Okay, wonderful. So remember the drill. These days, if you're learning these two social platforms like YouTube, there are options that you can also use to get notified, which include subscribing and hitting the notification bell. Yeah, I'm not really a fan of all of that because I feel like it kind of makes you feel addicted to social media platforms and stuff like that. Sometimes, yeah, that's how the whole thing is structured. So if you want to take advantage of that, you kindly do. I also like that it also helps to grow the community. So the more the subscribers you have, the more the traffic you get as well. And the more the traffic you get, there can also be other opportunities like monetizing the platform and stuff like that, which is good. It's not bad at all. So yeah, feel free to do what you want. If you want to subscribe, go ahead and do that. If you don't feel like it, then yeah, feel free not to do that. You're not forced to do that. And if you want to share the video, yeah, that's okay. And tell other people about the platform. Wonderful. We'll appreciate all of that. So once again, take care of yourselves and take care of your loved ones. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.